Alright, Shalom Akim, Kahalal, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Racha Kodash, double honors to the apostles, and those of great millstone of Ruel, and peace and salutation to the Akim around the world. So Akim, that pushes through to the four corners of the earth. You know, there's that video that very popular right now apparently. You understand this so-called victim Edomite was approached by Hebrew Israelites and a Native American.
Do you feel from this experience that you owe anybody an apology? Do you see your own fault in any way?
As far as standing there, I had every right to do so. My position is that I was not disrespectful to Mr. Phillips. I respect him. I'd like to talk to him. I mean, in hindsight, I wish we could have walked away and avoided the whole thing. But I can't say that I'm sorry for listening to him and standing there.
This morning, 16-year-old Nick Sandman standing by his actions.
When you watch the video, you can see how proud look like this.
In this moment gone viral.
He wasn't focusing on walking away. You understand? He was confronting the man. But when it's time to sit down in the news station, they were victims because they were young and so forth and so forth.
The junior at Kentucky's Covington Catholic High School, now the face of this Lincoln Memorial confrontation with Native American elder Nathan Phillips. And what's it been like to be at the center of the storm?
Well, it's weird to see your face on television. I've been reading a lot, and I've also been getting a lot of messages from people, both support and a lot of hateful things.
Sandman and dozens of his classmates had just finished attending an anti-abortion March for Life rally when they converged with 5 Hebrew Israelites, a radical movement that is growing more militant, according to the Southern Poverty Law Center.
They started.
I see it's only certain groups that really portray that kind of militant behavior with everybody wearing the same dress code, or even going to certain places like that to preach to begin with. What kind of places they want to go and preach the gospel? They're not preaching for edification. They look like they're just looking to confront people. You understand? They're not going to certain places to edify the sheep.
Shouting a bunch of homophobic, racist, derogatory comments at us.
What kinds of things did you hear them say?
I heard them call us incest kids, bigots, racists. They called us
a bunch of incest babies, a bunch of child molested.
Did you feel threatened at all?
I definitely.
No, really and truly. They are Catholic students. We know the Catholics, so-called Catholics today, had the highest percentage rate of child molestation, child trafficking rings, all that kind of stuff. You understand? And that's where it is they're being brought up in. Half of the little children was probably molested at some point in their life because they're higher ups, the so-called Catholic priests and so forth. That is what they like to do to little children, molest them. But we know that this young fella here, this young Esau, he being used for the cause by the higher ups because he was the front man in the video. They're using him now to portray the Hebrew Israelites as bad, militant, aggressive, and all these different things. So because that what America like to do. Before they attack somebody first, they like to tarnish their image or make people view them a certain way, so that when it's time for them to actually deal with you, it's justified in some way. You can see that he eyes look like he reading a script in the background or something. You could tell something off about it. So there's Psalms 55 verse 21. It said that the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. Already and truly, you're seeing when he giving his speech, he not denying anything, but yet he not acknowledging anything. He just being neutral and trying to remain a victim in the situation. But they confronted you, alright, they were bad. You also confronted them. Well, I didn't want to disrespect anybody because I didn't know what his approach was, and I didn't want to seem offensive. That is how this devil is think. You understand? They never do anything wrong.
We felt threatened.
There were more of you than them, but you felt like they were stronger?
They were a group of adults, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen next.
It's unclear from the videos who actually started the confrontation. Each side believes it was the first to be taunted. Sandman says his chaperone gave students permission to shout school chants, an attempt, he says, to drown out the Hebrew Israelites.
Oh, this looking to you like people who wanted to walk away? Really and truly. Forgers of lies.
Do you think it was a good idea to start chanting back at the protesters?
In hindsight, I wish we had just found another spot to wait for our buses, but at the time, being positive seemed better than letting them slander us with all of these things. So I wish we could have walked away.
Did anyone shout any insults back or any racial slurs back at the group?
We're a Catholic school, and it's not tolerated. They don't tolerate racism, and none of my classmates are racist people.
Did anyone say, build the wall?
I never heard anyone say build the wall, and I don't think I've seen it in any videos.
After a review of the videos, NBC News could not hear anyone shouting that hot button phrase, but Nathan Phillips claims he heard the teens shout, build the wall.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
Phillips
Yeah, but they wouldn't play like none of the video clips because at the end of the day, the elite's using him, so they can't make it look like if he instilled anything. He must look like a complete victim to the end of the day. You understand? They used to show you how this devil is work, and majority of them wearing these so-called hats to say make America great again. And we know that philosophy put it into Trump is about, it had nothing to do with Jakes. It's only about so-called Esau, so-called Edomites. Yeah, well, not so-called white people, which are Edomites, that pertaining to them, because we know that this so-called philosophy for make America great is for so-called white people only. That way, I see Trump was getting rid of a lot of people from any country and so forth, and he want to build borders to block people off. That have nothing to do with anybody else besides so-called white people.
was with a group of Native Americans coming from an Indigenous Peoples March when he can be seen walking between the students and the protesters.
I intervened, and things just escalated from there.
Phillips says he was trying to diffuse the tense situation. Sandman says he was confused about Phillips's motives and why he was there.
At first, we were unsure of whether he was trying to join in and drum to our chants or what he was doing.
Did you feel like he was trying to get somewhere else, to go toward the Lincoln Memorial?
I'm not sure where he wanted to go, and if he wanted to walk past me, I would have let him go.
In that moment, he's looking at you, you're looking at him. What?
See, he tried, now during the interview he trying to boil it down, but what are you watching him, man? Like, this is my country. You can't come up in my face. This is my country. I'm not moving. And that is the kind of spirit these Edomites is being. Oh, let's play a small clip from my next one.
Today.
This giving you a good idea of where it's going on lead to. Because they're going on push it further and further. And the young fella, the little Edomite boy, going on be the victim. And they're going to make the Hebrew Israelites now criminals. And that's just the start of it.
The Catholic school at the center of that viral confrontation on Capitol Hill forced to close. Students now facing death threats, being smeared as racist over video of a clash with a Native American protester at the March for Life.
All this before the full video was released showing what really happened with left-wing activists who approached the teens first. Our next guest is pushing to set the record straight.
You see? And it begins. First they'll show the breakdown, the interview, and then they will start to show the little boy being more of a victim, and the others were bad.
Jill Hamlin attended the rally as a chaperone, watched it all happen. She joins us right now live from Cincinnati. Jill, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Jill, you say that your boys, the boys there, were targeted. Was it because they were wearing MAGA caps?
I think that was one of the reasons they were targeted, and I think they were also targeted for what they stood for,
Which is?
which is Christianity, the right for life, and they were singled out, and I believe partially because of the color of their skin they were targeted.
Jill, why was Nick Sandmann, why did Nathan Phillips, the Native American, why did he choose him? Why did he get in his face? What happened before that?
We were all just gathered on the steps. We had obviously heard the horrific insults that were thrown at our children by the Black Hebrew Israelites, and
You see, they're going to the Black Hebrew Israelites now. So you know the extremist label going on go from before we was on the list for groups of extremists, but you know it's going on go up now. Just now it might even pass Muslims. It's going on get real bad. Even though we never kill anybody before, you never see we strap a bomb onto each chest and blow up any buildings. You go and see we don't even deal with actual physical fighting with people. At least speak for Great Millstone. They don't fight people on that kind of stuff per se. But you go and see we go and go up the list.
the boys were gathered on the steps, and I don't know why Nathan Phillips chose Nick Sandmann. I think he would have targeted anyone, but maybe it was because Nick Sandmann had the courage to look this man in the face, and he tried to defuse the situation by not reacting and by standing there respectfully.
But you weren't there for any Native American support or protest. You were there for what reason, and why did all these other cross currents get in your way?
We were there for the March for Life. It's an annual trip that the Covington Catholic High School goes to, and we meet every year at the Lincoln Memorial at the end of the day to catch our buses. We were not there for any other purpose other than to attend the peaceful March for Life, which we did.
And the first people who hit you with verbal barbs were the Black Hebrew Israelites, and what were they saying?
Well, we were standing there and we looked, and all of a sudden they turned their attention to our group, and they were screaming horrible, horrible things that I will not repeat to our children, not adults. They were screaming them at children. This continued, and
They were screaming judgment. They were screaming the truth. They were screaming that prepare slaughter for their children for the iniquity of their fathers. You understand? Well, for example,
and the boys asked if they could do one of their school cheers because they wanted to drown out the hatred that was being said to them.
Right.
And one of our teachers said it was okay for them to do their cheer. We wanted to drown out the hatred message that was being thrown at our children.
Right.
so the same cap all they're wearing that represents making America great for Edomites only is not hatred. But what they were preaching was hatred. The same caps that you're wearing that represents that you're down for the same cause. That is not hatred. Showing hatred to everybody else besides your kind. But the Hebrew Israelites are considered racist. Alright? Let us show these devils this thing.
And so, online, the initial reaction was, look at these guys in the MAGA hats. They're yelling at this Native American Nathan Phillips who was banging the drum. That's not true. They were simply doing school cheers. As a parent, I've got to wonder how you felt about, in the initial hours after that went viral, your school and the Diocese of Covington put out a statement that said, of your boys' action, they said, this behavior is opposed to the church's teachings on the dignity and respect of the human person. The matter is being investigated, and we will take appropriate action up to and including expulsion. Why do you think the school and the diocese jumped the gun without knowing all the facts? Because that made it worse.
It did, and I don't know why they jumped to make a statement. And as a parent, And as a Catholic person,
Now, I ain't gonna play everything and make the video too long, but this is an example that, hey, this is the seed that Esau planted, and it's going and eventually take root. You understand? They go and they go and do more interviews like this, and you're going and see more and more videos will be coming out, labeling the Hebrew Israelites as extremists and evil and all these different things. And that is when eventually we go be on the blacklist to be captured and so forth. You understand? All these things would even lead to the famine of the word. Could even help to lead to the famine of the word, whereas brothers won't be able to go out and preach anymore because of the label that Hebrew Israelites have preaching on the streets. You understand? All of this is just a way for all these things to be implemented slowly but surely. So there's there's read John 16. I'll start from 1. It say, these things have I spoken unto you, that ye should not be offended. Already and truly, when this seed that Esau planted start to grow, a lot of men going to be offended, because they're going, if you thought you was hated before, you're going to be more hated now, because we know anything that Esau planted in the seed in the heart of men, it has take full root. Once they portray it the correct way, people going to watch you, even though they didn't watch you in a bad way before, they're going to watch you in a bad way now. So you're going to be even worse for you. You understand? And men going and get offended by that. It say verse 2, it say, they shall put you out of their synagogues. Yea, the time cometh that whosoever killeth you will think that he doeth God's service. Already and truly, they were preaching against some Catholic children. And you know, in Esau society, Catholics are considered the children of God. Even though you can't even find the word Catholic in the Bible. They are classed as the children of God. So you go up against people who class as the children of God in Esau society, you think you're doing a good thing. You understand? It say they shall put you out of their synagogues. Yea, the time cometh that whosoever killeth you will think that he doeth God's service. Very and truly, we just look like the bad guys. How you seen Wisdom of Solomon to talk about the strangers of their salvation. It said this is the men, because they would never guess. You understand? That those men were the men who were actually children of God. Say verse 3, it say, and these things will they do unto you, because they have not known the Father nor me. And there's something you even go through with your own people, because you know, you're just like in Matrix. It's still have some of them that join onto the Matrix. They go in and turn against you. Esau might even pour the reward for your head, and your own family, your own people will be the ones to collect that reward. So things going to get serious. So these are times to stay in the spirit. Make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. Make sure you try to pray and fast, because things going to get worse and worse. You're seeing things pertaining to riots getting worse. You're seeing things pertaining to our label getting worse. You see things pertaining to war getting worse. Everything just getting worse and worse as time goes by. You understand?
that has supported our diocese. I am very, very disheartened and saddened that they rushed to judgment by not supporting one of their own schools and their own people in the diocese.
See, one of their own schools and their own people. Because I heard this thing. Esau is only thing for Esau. But if you only think for Jake, then you're a racist. Yeah, man.
And I do not believe the school made that statement, the administration. I believe it was made by the diocese.
Yeah, well, Jill, now that we know all the facts, you know, we're all parents. So many people watching are parents. I'm sure it was really difficult to know that you're there for the right of children that can't voice that don't have a voice, and you're there for that march, and you're growing Christian children, and you're working really hard to pay for private education, paying your taxes, and then people come up to young kids and they shout these insults at them. That has to be so hard. And then to see how the media didn't tell the full story, and then the diocese releases this statement. How do you get on for, how's Nick doing? How are all the other parents doing? The school had to be canceled today because all the parents there are so terribly worried.
See, and the victim image begins. So brothers have to prepare themselves for the things that are to come. Cause we don't know how the Most High going to use this to spin off and make things much worse. You understand? Brothers keep saying over and over the famine of the word coming shortly. Cause we seeing things stirring up to actually cause that, especially when Esau bring out these different laws pertaining to like hate speech and all these different things. All this going to stir it up more and more until eventually we wouldn't get a preacher anymore out there. So things being speed up for the elect's sake, as the scriptures say. So brothers, stay strong, and stay vigilant. Shalom.